everybody, I'm Curvy Mary. You can find me all over the internet under Curvy Mary 8. My Twitter is Curvy Mary 8. Instagram is Curvy Mary 8X. And curvymary.com is currently my OnlyFans, but soon it'll be a pay site for me. But Curvy Mary 8 is my username across the internet, including on many vids, Curvy_Mary 8 on Chatterbait. And I'm going to start doing a regular camming schedule. Just check my social media every week to see my schedule, but it's going to be pretty consistent on the days and times of the week, just alternating weeks. So I can't wait to see you all and get to know everybody and join my OnlyFans at curvymary.com. It's $3 for the first month and $5 every month after that. So love you guys. Hello, I am Curvy Mary. I am the bisexual BBW girl next door, and I have been doing OnlyFans since June and hardcore scene since August. So I'm very new here.
How did you get into OnlyFans? How did that come up? How did all of that start?
Well, I was working in real estate, and because of COVID, my income tanked. So I decided to try OnlyFans to do something to make up the income, and it ended up being a boon for me. And now I want to do some property porn videos and, do the real estate agent thing.
Prior to OnlyFans, had you taken sexy pictures of yourself and all that?
Oh, yes, definitely. And I've even been modeling for a couple of years. I have a model mayhem profile and all that good stuff. And I like to work with different photographers to get promotional pictures and also just to work on my craft basically, because, the adult modeling is definitely modeling. It's not just, having sex in front of a camera. You need to know how to hold yourself and to smile and to open up for the camera and to actually engage, and that takes a lot of work and practice.
Remember the first time you modeled? I mean, was it a private thing or was it a hired gig?
Well, I actually started doing a bridal boudoir session. That was my first time, and I ended up becoming friends with the photographer. And I just did a bunch of sessions with her for fun, and it took off from there. It was really fun, and it was liberating, honestly, because I had no idea that I was photogenic. I went through my whole life not realizing that I was photogenic or attractive, or to be honest, I didn't realize how big my ass was.
Well, without kissing your butt, but we'll kiss your butt. BBWs are one of the most popular niches now. Why do you think that is?
I think it's because we represent something a little different, something a little comforting. In art history, you'll notice that during periods of famine, artists tend to draw more Rubenesque women is usually the term used. But, women with fuller bodies, bigger hips, bigger breasts, thicker waists, those are much more in vogue during times of famine. And then in times of feast, generally the appeal of thinner women comes into play. You look back even as recently as World War II, and a woman with a more curvaceous figure became more popular. The pinup movement, definitely. You wanted somebody who was celebrating strong femininity, and there's nothing like a big kind of smile, to really cheer people up. And, we're in a time like that right now where people need something to make them feel better.
Do you feel there's how do I say this? There's more of a comfortability for guys with women with bigger hips, I guess, because they're
Yeah.
more familiar with you and they think they have more of a shot with you than they do with the magazine model?
I mean, I suppose that's possible, but I don't want to perpetuate the myth that fat women aren't attractive. I mean, there's attractive and is completely separate from your body size. You can
Absolutely.
be attractive at
Absolutely.
any size, and
I
I
agree.
I just want to really elucidate people on the fact that there are women of all shapes and sizes that are beautiful, and everybody has something redeemable and beautiful about them of any gender. It took me over 30 years to realize that, but it has been, the biggest revelation of my life. And, it's a very red pill, blue pill situation, definitely. And part of me feels sorry for people who haven't seen that yet. And so many go through their lives without noticing it. And that's just sad.
Do you remember the first time you saw something adult related?
Something adult related. Probably the like the blurry, wavy porn that was on cable late at night, that you had to call in a special number to pay for. But, as a kid, you would see the grainy porn, you would hear, the noises and the cheesy music and the moaning and all that. Like, that was definitely my first my first, moment of noticing pornography. And, I was kind of just curious, like, what is this?
Remember the first time someone asked you to take a picture, like just a picture of you because they thought you were pretty? Like a boy in school or somebody. Did that surprise you? Did that? I mean, were you secure enough as a girl at that point?
I don't remember people wanting to take random pictures of me as a kid. Um, but I think, moving into a more sexual sphere, I remember the first time a guy wanted a nude of me, and I was just like, there's no way. I don't want this stuff out there. It's not, something that good girls do.
Did you go to a public school, private school?
I went to mostly public school. I very briefly went to private school, but that was when my mom was teaching there, so that I could, go there for free. I had, a very normal American, nuclear family upbringing. My parents are still married and everything, and my parents are, even aware of, what I'm doing now, and, they still support me. But, I feel like it's important also to let people know that not everybody who does porn has some sort of traumatic upbringing. I had a very good childhood, and, my parents are great people, and they're loving and supportive to this day. And, just because you do porn, that doesn't mean you're broken.
Prior to getting into business, had you had any preconceived notions about the adult entertainment industry?
Um, I didn't realize coming into it like how many side hustles you need to have to add up to a full-time job. There's, job number one in being a porn star is promoting yourself. That is very different from the way it used to be even 10 years ago, from what I've heard. And job number two is making sure that you engage with your fan base. So there's promotion, there's a lot of emotional labor involved in talking to people, and you need to create content regularly, even if it's just little selfies that you post every day. You need to be very active on social media. But also, there's a whole bouquet of sex work, things to choose from. There's camming, there's escorting, there's chatting, there's phone sex, there's all sorts of things. But the whole thing is that you need to have several side hustles that add up to a full-time job.
And to be successful in your career today, is personality more important than sex?
Oh, definitely. People come for your look, but they stay for your personality. And it's important to let it shine, and show people what is unique and interesting about you, so that your fans, have something, that they can, latch on to and say, hey, I really like this about so and so. She's got a great personality. She's fun. Oh, and she's beautiful.
And do you have a specific niche as far as a fan base, like the 20 to 35-year-olds or the 18 to 35 or the older people, older guys? I don't like saying that, but
I think the majority of my fan base is probably over the age of 30. But sometimes I'm surprised. There's a lot of guys that, like BBWs, and they're all ages, all demographics. It's figuring out who these little pockets of people are. There's the young ones who, like MILFs, but they're also into BBWs, so they like BBW MILFs. There's, guys that are, old enough to be my grandfather who are into BBWs. There's guys who are, in any age in between, but probably mostly married guys over 30.
we're in a business that thrives on young girls, yet the MILFs, and I don't like the term MILF, are as popular, if not more popular. Why do you think
Hmm.
that is?
Because the older you are, generally, the more sexual experience you have. And, there's a confidence that comes with that, not just with age, but experience. And, there's an appeal to a woman over 30, for somebody who wants a woman who's confident in who she is and in her body, and she knows how to please her partner. And I think that's, the allure of the MILF. As you want to. I want to help get rid of, the tags in porn, the way people search in demeaning ways, like, racial, sizist, ageist, sexist
Right.
ways that people use to search for porn. I want to help create better behaviors for the audiences, I guess.
Well, do you have a favorite
Definitely.
subject in? Did you have a favorite subject in grade school?
I was a big old nerd. I still am, but I would say probably anything to do with reading, writing, literature, that kind of thing. I remember I was in second grade writing poems and making my own little storybooks while the other kids were learning to read. Like, my teacher was like, "Here, I'll give you your own project." So definitely anything to do with reading and writing, I loved as a kid.
And I know you were very young at that point. Do you have any idea what you want to do with the rest of your life?
No, I mean, I always had the different phases that I went through. But I was, a little pretentious sometimes in what things I said. Like, I'd be like, "Oh, I want to be a brain surgeon because, bragging rights, you're smart and successful and rich, it's like, that's what I want to do. Like, I want to be those things." I never really had a concrete idea growing up of what I wanted to be. All I knew was that I wanted to basically please my parents and meet expectations, and I spent so many years of my life trying to do that. And it's liberating now, like forging my own path now as an adult, because as a child you have no idea, nobody has any idea what you're going to be like as an adult. So who are you to have any sort of idea what you're going
Right.
to do?
Was there something that happened in your life that triggered that confidence in you to say, "I'm not going to worry about making everybody else happy now. I'm going to do my own thing"?
um, I would say pretty much the minute I turned 30, I ran out of fucks to give. And when I say that, I mean, I stopped caring so much about what other people thought of me. And I started caring more about my own happiness and finding, what that I can do in my life to please myself and make myself happy. And it's been liberating, and there's just been so many revelations that I've been having over the last 6 months of being true to myself, learning to love myself more, learning to love my body more, trying to become more aware and active in the body positivity movement, and really helping young people learn to love and accept themselves, because it is the greatest gift you can give yourself, self-love.
Do you find in your own travels or experiences up to this point in your life that this generation is more accepting of?
um you mean more accepting of various types of people, or?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say so. Like, people are really growing up, being, let's say, for example, much more positive around people in the queer community. There's, young people who identify as conservative who are like, "Oh yeah, I don't have any problem with gay people. They can get married." Like, things are changing and for the better. But as they always say, sometimes you take two steps forward and one step back. And unfortunately, in certain arenas, as a society, we have taken some backward steps recently. But I am positive and hopeful, and excited to see what happens in the future. We have a fresh new year, we have a fresh new administration. We're going to see what happens next to America, and I'm excited.